Welcome in to Texans Today. I'm your host, Jeremy Chuggs. Coming up on today's program, the latest news and rumors from Texans training camp practice, not in Houston. They're actually practicing somewhere else, getting prepared for this week. And I'm getting prepared for this week by doing a sub battle against our Steelers channel. Yes, it's going to be Texans Steelers Friday night. You best believe we're going to be going live for all that action. So make sure you're tuned in. Make sure you catch our live show this Friday because our live watch party against the Bears for the Hall of Fame game went absolutely crazy. A ton of people showing up, a lot of fun to be had. So make sure you join us this Friday and make sure you help us in our sub battle. Go down and hit that sub button. So far, Steelers Talk has gotten 64 subs this week. We've only gotten 58. So if you haven't already, go down and hit that subscribe button for daily Texans content all year long, 100% free. I tell you this, go down and hit that sub button. If you don't like it in a week, you can unsubscribe. But let me earn your subscription and show you why we are the #1 Texans channel here on YouTube. Now, the Texans are currently practicing in Ohio to get ready for the Steelers. And actually, funny enough, they were practicing at University School in Chagrin Falls, Ohio, which also happens to be the high school Texans GM Nick Caserio attended. This photo from John M. Alexander on X. So obviously, a pretty good field, pretty decent field, good conditions as they get ready to go against the Steelers. They're practicing a little closer to the venue where they'll be playing on Friday. Texans who are not practicing today, Christian Harris still out, Joe Mixon still out, both with those soft tissue injuries. A little concerning at this point. I really would like to see Joe Mixon, at least a little bit, being that he's a brand new acquisition, hasn't played with any of these guys, so maybe get a little bit more continuity there. Jeremy Tunsil, he's been out, obviously still nursing that knee injury that he had surgery earlier this offseason, but he should be good to go later on. Danielle Hunter, Kamari Lassiter also did not practice today, along with these 6 guys. Noah Brown was not practicing today. Neither was rookie Blake Fisher. Jeff Okudah did not practice. Jake Hansen, Lonnie Johnson Jr., both in concussion protocol, and Tegan Toriano dealing with that lower body injury that he sustained against the Bears in the Hall of Fame game. Now, coming up, some top notes from practice, and maybe the reason why a lot of y'all clicked into this video, maybe the biggest thing that came from practice came afterwards when DeMeco Ryans was talking to the media. And he went ahead and told everybody, you know what? The starters are playing this week. We're going to see some starting action from the Houston Texans. Cody Stutes on X was one of the people to break it first. The ones will play versus the Steelers. DeMeco Ryans just said #Texans. I mean, it is huge news because I didn't know how much we were going to see of some of these starting guys. They said no starters were going to play against the Bears, but we saw Kenyon Green and Juice Scruggs in the game to start for the Houston Texans. Both guys supposed to be starting on the interior of this offensive line. Now, we should see more of the starters. Now, how much? I'm not sure. I mean, I doubt if CJ Stroud plays more than drive, maybe 2 drives against the Steelers if the first one just doesn't go according to plan. But really big news, really exciting. Another reason why you got to join us this Friday for our live show. We go live. I do play-by-play analysis of the entire game. We have a great time. Some of the best Texans fans, the best Texans community here on YouTube. Make sure you join us this Friday. Now, practice notes from today. CJ Stroud was cooking early on. 2 for 2 in a red zone drill and dropping nice dimes around the field to Tank Dell, Stefon Diggs, and other guys. I know Robert Woods down the middle, he had a nice throw as well, but Stroud was looking good, and that's exactly what you want to see out of your quarterback going into year 2. And I know a lot of people talk about, the sophomore slump. Will CJ Stroud be able to be as good as he was last year? I don't know. I think with his progression, with his mentality, and how he's been so far, I don't really expect that much of a dip, unlike other people, because, something else happened this week. Madden came out with their ratings as their game is about to release after College Football 25, and they're obviously needing some headlines because the quarterback rankings, as you see the top 10, no CJ Stroud to be found. He was an 81 overall. Offensive Rookie of the Year. I mean, had an incredible rookie season. They have him at an 81 overall? Are you serious? Like, are we kidding right now, Madden? I mean, this is why College Football 25 is going to be the much superior football game this season, and I doubt very many people play Madden 25 because of this, because of the ridiculous ratings and ridiculous stuff that they're putting on the screen right now. How is C.J. Stroud not in the top 10 quarterbacks on Madden? You have Brock Purdy at an 85 and C.J. Stroud at an 81? Really? That's a little bit of a BS rating for me. Let me know down in the comment section what your ranking for C.J. Stroud would be, your overall ranking. I mean, 80, 88, 87, that's where I would put him, around there, like 86 at the low end, 85, but definitely not the low 80s. C.J. Stroud is a top 10 quarterback in this league. And Madden, they're smoking something if they don't think that. Next up, Azeez Al-Shaair got the best of C.J. Stroud once in this practice, though. C.J. Stroud was cooking, but the Texans' new middle linebacker had a very nice play where he picked off C.J. Stroud during one of the drills. Now, he is supposed to be the linebacker for the Houston Texans this year, really the guy in the middle, the guy with the green dot who should be, one of the captains of the defense or one of the leaders on this defense. A lot of, what DeMeco Ryans and Matt Burke want to do on the defensive side of the football this year runs through this guy right here, Azeez Al-Shaair. So good to see that he continues to progress during camp, looking really good for the Houston Texans, and hopefully can have a breakout season with this squad. Now, coming up, some more notes from Texans practice, more of what you want to know. And I'll tell you one guy who is going to surprise a lot of people with how much he plays this year and how well he's going to do during the preseason. And I think he's really going to make the 53-man roster at this point. I'll tell you who that is in just a moment, but I couldn't do today's show if it wasn't for our amazing sponsor, Game Time. Go check them out today. They are the go-to ticketing app for Texans today, and they should be your go-to ticketing app as well. Where are my baseball fans at? Funny enough, the Astros, they're playing pretty well right now, and I'm actually going to Astros Rangers this week. I'm based out of Dallas here. I'm going to be rooting on the Stros this week with our sponsor, Game Time, for hooking up the tickets. You can get great deals on last-second tickets and even see the seat view before you buy the tickets with Game Time. All-in prices show you what you pay without hidden fees or expenses, and Game Time has zone deals. You pick the section, Game Time picks the seats for an average savings of 18%. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Now, the battle for wide receiver 5 and 6 is heating up for the Texans during training camp. And one guy in particular has really been standing out to me. Now, this is really the four guys I really want you to look at whenever it comes to this Texans wide receiver battle, because we know, the top three guys. We know Tank Dell, we know Nico Collins, we know Stefon Diggs. But these four guys really make that last, 4, 5, 6 wide receiver spots really interesting in my eyes. But one guy who really showed out during preseason game against the Bears, Xavier Hutchinson, and he was really looking good today at practice as well. Davis Mills and him have a really good connection, and Davis Mills found him on a very nice play early on in practice today. Xavier Hutchinson continues to impress. I mean, everybody saw what he was able to do against the Bears in that preseason game, and he's been working his tail off. I know he's been working a lot with the trainer down in Houston, Justin Allen, who works with a ton of Texans players. C.J. Stroud, Tank Dell. I know a bevy of John Mechie, a bevy of guys work with him. Xavier Hutchinson has been putting in work this offseason, and he said he's ready to contribute however he needs in special teams. Whatever the Texans coaching staff needs him to do, he's ready to step in and do it. So with that mentality and how he's looked so far, the second-year player out of Iowa State, I think Xavier Hutchinson will find his way on this 53-man roster, which makes it interesting to see, what they do with these other positions at the wide receiver spot, because I think Noah Brown has a spot. They signed him to a 1-year, $5 million contract at the beginning of free agency, and, whenever he's healthy, he's really good. John Mechie has been getting a ton of praise, and Ben Skoranek didn't look too bad himself against the Chicago Bears, and they traded for him from the LA Rams as another gadget guy, another special teams guy who could, help out this team. So whenever it comes down to it, one of those guys is not going to make the final 53-man roster. Just depends on which one it is. If it's going to be Skoranek, Hutchinson, Brown, or Mechie, one of those guys will not make the roster. Who do you think it'll be? Do you think Hutchinson will make the roster, though? I think at this point in the offseason, at this point in Texans training camp, Xavier Hutchinson looks fantastic. I think he legitimately has a good shot to make this final 53-man roster. What say you, though? Let me know down in the comment section. Give me a yes, give me a no. Do you think Xavier Hutchinson makes the final 53-man roster? Next up from practice, things were getting a little chippy during practice, a little bit more fighting. Get the gloves out. Cade Stover, I know today during practice, his helmet popped off at one point, and he was getting a little bit heated with some of the guys, not happy with that kind of play and how it transpired with his helmet popping off. And then later in practice, these two guys were absolutely going at it, mouthing at each other. Stefon Diggs and Jalen Pitre. Jalen Pitre, I know, called for a penalty during one of the plays, and those two were jawing back and forth, but it was all love afterwards. You know, Pitre was doing an interview. Stefon Diggs came up and was like messing with them, you know, kind of rattling them off a little bit. But it's all competitive, all good between these two guys, and between a lot of this Texans team. Things are getting chippy, but I think it's a good thing. I think these guys are really ready to compete, really ready to go out and show that this team is not all, you know, expectations. This team isn't all, you know, empty promises. This team is ready to go out and hit other teams in the mouth. Lastly, Mario Edwards Jr. looking pretty good so far, stepping in for Denico Autry. He made a really good play at the beginning of Texans training camp today, where he actually got a tackle in the backfield on Dameon Pierce and almost made it look like he fumbled as well. But Edwards Jr., the de facto starter at defensive tackle, with Denico Autry being out for the first 6 games, looking pretty good so far. And as we look at this defensive line depth chart, if Edwards is able to step in for Denico Autry and start for him and look pretty good, I mean, the Texans aren't doing too bad. It all depends on, you know, Tim Settle, Khalil Davis, Harris, the late round pick, if those guys can step up. But maybe this defensive tackle room, maybe this defensive line room isn't as bad as we thought it was going to be. And maybe during training camp, during the rest of the preseason, they're really going to show out and show us like, hey, this defensive line is one of the best in the NFL. That's all I have for you on today's show, folks. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at Jeremy Chuggs for the latest around the Houston Texans, around the NFL, the dankest memes on the internet. You know where to find me, at Jeremy Chuggs. My DMs are always open. And make sure you hit that subscribe button. I don't want to lose to the Steelers in a sub battle this week. We're playing them on Friday. Game week starts right now. Go down and hit that sub button if you haven't already, or go to youtube.com/TexansTV for daily Texans content.